Hello, everybody, and welcome to another great episode of the Gridiron Glory podcast. Today, we're here to talk to you about the Seattle Seahawks versus the Atlanta Falcons. This was a football game that the Seattle Seahawks ended up winning 34-13. You go on the road against the Atlanta Falcons. You know, you presumed that to be a team that's going to be a tough-built team in the NFC going down the stretch. So they did what they needed to do to go out there and, assert a really good showing against a Falcons team that, quite frankly, wasn't really able to get anything going in the first quarter. Didn't really have much clicking throughout this game. You did bring in Michael Penix Jr. for a play. Jackson Smith, the Jigba, apparently threw a pass. You got guys like Kenneth Walker III scored, and Dad, get this stat line, right? 14 carries for 69 yards and a touchdown, with his longest run being 20. And Tad, with that being said, I would like to really sincerely ask you, so like, where would you rank Kenneth Walker III amongst running backs in the NFL? First of all, the NFC, but then probably the NFL.
I mean, in the NFC, he's probably behind Saquon Barkley. He's probably behind Christian McCaffrey when he's healthy, obviously. So that's at least third. I'd say for sure top 5 NFC. That might be a little generous. I don't know, top 5. But overall, probably. I mean, obviously, you add Derrick Henry ahead of him as well. I mean, I think that goes without saying.
Until proven otherwise, Derrick Henry will just presumably be one.
Joe Mixon ahead of him, probably.
I mean, Joe Mixon, I feel like he's kind of fallen down in the rankings. I mean, Joe Mixon, to me, he's like Joe Mixon. If you're asking me where I'd rank Joe Mixon, I'd rank Joe Mixon. I'd say he's the middle of the pack running back. I mean, a veteran if nothing else.
I gotta say, I don't think I'd agree with that personally. I think I'd put him a little higher. I'd probably put Mixon ahead of Kenneth Walker myself, but that's a fair debate. I'd probably say Walker's borderline top 10. That's probably about where I'd put him overall.
Top 5, but top 3 NFC.
Top 5 NFC. Top 10 overall.
Love to hear it. And then obviously you got guys like DK Metcalf, 99 yards and a touchdown, longest of 35. I would rank DK Metcalf amongst wide receivers in the NFL. I mean, okay. Well, first of all, in the NFC, certainly a top 5 NFC receiver, and then overall in the NFL, I'd probably rank him like top 15. And where would you rank him?
He's probably a tier 2 or tier 3 receiver. Like, he's not in the Justin Jefferson tier, but he's very productive. He's explosive, can get the big plays. He's probably similar to, I don't know, the T. Higgins tier, maybe.
And I mean, of course, then you got guys like Noah Fant, 4 catches, 65 yards. And I mean, yeah, Noah Fant, I mean, he's a middle of the pack tight end.
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
I mean, consistent, reliable.
That he is.
And then, I mean, but big kudos to the Seattle defense, right? You got Kobe Bryant, 11 total tackles, 7 solo. And yeah, Tad, I would sincerely, really, genuinely like to ask you, where would you rank Kobe Bryant amongst quarterbacks in the NFL? First of all, the NFC, but then the NFL overall.
Yeah, I mean, Kobe Bryant had a big day with the 11 tackles, the deflection. I don't know. I want to say he's proving that he's better than middle of the pack, but in terms of
upper tier running quarterback.
Yeah, he's above average. I don't know how high in the upper tier I'd say he is at this point, but definitely above average.
Would you say he's better than Kobe Durant? Like who would you take between Kobe Bryant and Kobe Durant?
I mean, I think you always have to say that Durant is better than Bryant, and I think that could apply for a lot of things. But yeah, looking at that, I think that's fair to say. Um, but yeah,
Uh,
this is just a very good, very well put together Seattle defense that played a very strong game. Of course, you have um the big fumble return for a touchdown that sort of swings the momentum in this game. Early in the second half, I believe, is when that happened. So a big play there. When Boye Mafa got the fumble from Kirk Cousins, and then Hall returned it for the long touchdown. That was at a point in the game where Atlanta was doing what they could to make a comeback, and that
right.
really slowed the momentum. I mean, the Seattle defense, I mean, the offense, they did their job in the first half, and then the defense just made life very difficult for Kirk Cousins and the Falcons. Yeah, they really shut down the offense. They forced turnovers. They slowed down any attempted comeback. I mean, it was a very close game at half. It was a 10-point game at halftime with Atlanta getting the ball. If they score there, then it's a 3-point game. But just everything that could go wrong went wrong for Atlanta. You have Kirk Cousins turning the ball over 3 times. You have Young Wei missing a field goal, which that doesn't happen very often. He's a reliable kicker, but it didn't work out in that game. He missed his only field goal.
Yeah, so a tough loss for Atlanta here. We haven't really touched much on them, if we're covering all the teams. So like, yeah,
Yeah,
Kirk Cousins, 24 35, 232 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. So a bad game for Kirk Cousins. I mean,
yeah, too
I mean,
many
when you
turnovers.
play in this game, when you play in the NFL long enough, you're gonna have games like this. So, but I would still trust Kirk Cousins to come
Yeah,
back here in the season and turn things around. And I mean, I did predict this, Tad, in our preseason research. Maybe not in this very exact way, but I did predict the Falcons to be 4-3 by this point. I mean, I sincerely did. I know you might remember that like early on when I was predicting the schedules and whatnot. But like, yeah, I basically expected them to be 4-3. So a long way to go, and what's going to be a tough NFC South. You just got to kind of shake this one off and keep moving forward. Shout out to Bijan Robinson though, 103 yards, 21 carries, and a touchdown. Personally, I would rank Bijan Robinson in the first of all in the NFC. I'd say he's a top 10 running back in the NFC, and then overall probably like top 30.
I think personally I'm a little higher on him. I'd say he's pretty close to top 5 and maybe more like top 15. And he's just getting better the more touches he gets. He's a running back that I'd be happy to have on my team. He's very good at what he does.
Drake London, obviously Drake London did get that other touchdown. I mean, he still went out there and tried to do his job. Like I said, right now I'd probably personally rank Drake London in the NFC, a top 5 receiver in the NFC, probably a top 10 overall, maybe top 15 overall.
I want to see a little more consistency from him before I put him in the top 15, but I think he's definitely got that potential.
Yeah, and then the defense, I mean, you got to play better, just all around. You got to have an. I mean, you didn't even give Kirk Cousins a chance. This defense needed a lot more playmaking done.
Yeah, just one sack on Geno Smith. That's not going to get the job done. You need better pressure. You only had very few quarterback hits. You just they can play better. They'll play better than that, but that just wasn't enough.
Yeah, just wasn't enough to get the job done against a feisty Seattle team at home. So Seahawks win this one 34-13.
I do have one more take I'd want to give really quickly getting to their next games.
Yeah,
Seattle, they are hosting the Buffalo Bills this week, so that'll be a big game for them as they try to keep the momentum rolling from this victory. And looking at Atlanta, we have a big game in Tampa for the division lead noontime this week. So that'll be a big game. Whoever wins has the outright lead. If Atlanta wins, they sweep the season series. So that give them the tiebreaker. So big game there.
Yeah, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow on the Gridiron Glory podcast, where we cover all 32 teams.